So today we'll be discussing topics concerning media in government, with the first question being, is fake news a real problem? So let's start with this side.
Okay, well, while it is ignorant to assume that every single news article is true, because sometimes they are false, but on the whole, credible news sources take on, almost an oath to produce honest information that comes out of them, because their job is to inform the public. But oftentimes you see the public misconstrue the information that they put out, and that's where the idea of false news comes from. It's not necessarily the media, not necessarily the news sources, because they're just doing their job of informing the public.
And the information that they're given to the media to the media is that of bias, and it's usually just rumors that are just given to them, or like their own opinions that are kind of shifted based on like their personal preferences, based on like their beliefs or like party.
So what is y'all's take on this topic?
So I think fake news is a really huge issue, as it affected the results of the 2016 election. Because Donald Trump, he's not the perfect candidate, and during the Republican primaries, he had a bunch of name calling, like he was calling Jeb, like low energy Jeb, Little Marco, and Crooked Hillary, and he's failed to provide tax records for the previous year, and because of that, the media has been portraying him in a bad light. And to counter this, many fake news sites have jumped up, and they've been putting Trump in a better light. And as a result of this, like the general American public believed that Trump was a better candidate than Hillary Clinton, and they voted Trump in, even when most polls showed that Hillary was going to win.
Aside from Donald Trump, more examples include Republican Alabama Senate candidate Roy Moore. He had pursued a sexual contact with minors, hence he consequently lost his Senate race. Another example included Democratic National Committee staffer Seth Rich's death in July 2016. It was said that he was killed by the Clintons to cover up evidence of hacking the DNC. That brought down Clinton's reputation. As a result of these multiple fake news sources, many people are distrusting the media. More Americans, 43%, said they had held a negative impact rather than a positive view of 33% of the news media.
So let's move on to our next question. Is adversarial journalism important for democracy?
Yes, adversarial journalism is the official term for investigative reporting done in an agnostic way. I believe that this is important because it picks apart higher officials, and it tells their story. It makes sure that they don't bend the rules.
Yes, for example, in 2016, David Fairholt, he saw that Donald Trump had promised $7 billion in donations for veterans, but when he investigated this, he saw that there was only $3 million worth of donations, and the rest was used to pay out businesses and for lawsuits, and also for a portrait of himself.
So what is y'all's perspective on this?
Well, for the most part, while your example was accurate, for the most part, adversarial journalism is honestly an invasion of privacy. And I mean this on a national scale because, Congress will have things that they are working on. This is an example. Congress will have things that they're trying to work on, like policies and such. And the media will get in, everything they find, they will put it in a bad light, and unfortunately, beneficial things that could have been passed won't be because of things that were put out before they were ready.
Yeah, and all the information is misconstrued, and everything that they present to the public could be just their own side of the argument, and like everything that like they believe is wrong could be something that's positive for some people who are in need of this said policy, and it really just doesn't do much good.
Their bias absolutely gets into it, and so then you're hearing maybe potentially skewed information.
So on to the next topic. How has new media changed politics?
Okay, so media allows politicians and citizens to have a very, very easy one-on-one connection to each other. So this is very visible with Obama and Trump using Twitter to their advantage to get their message out to everybody, and people are more well informed because they can immediately see the information. And You know, you can also like email, tweet, things like that directly to your senators, directly to your representatives. So it just gives a very easy connection to them.
Yeah, and media also helps to publicize the people who are running, and like they can run ads and campaigns like on like various platforms like Twitter or Instagram or whatever, and they can help that to help their campaign and to grow their fan base and like grow like people it's like want to vote for them and to help them get votes by their campaign.
So what do y'all have to say about this?
Well, I feel that media affects politics because it creates a partisan. Like on social media, things may be exaggerated or misconstrued, and that just gets to people's heads. It puts a different political ideology and perspective on whoever is in the political field.
And there's also this idea of viewership. So with Donald Trump, the media is constantly criticizing him and monitoring his every action. And this is where the phrase, "there's no such thing as bad publicity," comes into it. Because even though he's portrayed in this bad light, the people are able to see how he reacts and how he presents himself in front of an international audience. And this eventually increases viewership, as shown with MSNBC. There was a 48% increase in their viewership, which was a new high in 2017.
So are media leaks of stories a good thing, or do they provide misconstrued information to the public?
No, essentially, media leaks do help enhance transparency within government because media helps Congress give oversight of the executive branch, and many refer media as the unofficial fourth branch of government. For example, with the Pentagon Papers, many Americans' trust with the government became misconstrued, and as a result, White House, their ratings went down, and they learned from their mistakes, and in turn, they're scared of making those same mistakes again.
So what's your opinion on this?
So while having the information about the things that the government has done may be beneficial at that moment, because then we get to know, unfortunately it has irrevocable effects of mistrust towards the government. So while those things happened 50 years ago, since the 70s with Watergate and Vietnam and all of the things that were hidden during then, since that we have seen a decrease in the percentage of people who are voting from about 65% to 55%. That's a very large amount of people who are no longer voting.
People now are not really taking parties. Now they're starting to become independents, and the number has increased from 30 to 40%, and those people are starting to not really affiliate with party lines, and that shows that the mistrust in the government has gone up.